Whether you're newlyweds or simply living together or you've been living together for a while, managing money can be a source of stress or tension in any given relationship.
But it doesn't have to be that way. By taking a proactive approach to your finances and taking advantage of the tools that you have, you can achieve your financial goals as a family and work together to build success. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. I'm Ray and this is Sammy, and on this channel we consider all things well-being. More specifically, in this video, what we're going to be discussing is financial well-being, and especially with everything that's going on in the UK in terms of the recession, we need to be thinking about our budget. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. Stay tuned to the end and we've got something special for you.
So tip number 1, schedule a time to talk. By really setting aside a time to talk as a couple can really help you to manage your money and to achieve financial success. It helps you to break down your expenses, your goals, and the various bits that you want to include as a couple. I know for each couple it varies, you get what I mean. So setting aside a time to discuss all of that will help each other to understand where each other is at.
Definitely. And one of the things that you can do in order to achieve that is by putting together a very thorough budget. So in that budget, what we like to do is include a number of categories which break down all of our expenses that we have throughout the month. What that may look like is effectively your household bills. You may give something to charity, whether that be to a church or whatever else that you support. Maybe, a particular charity that you really hold dear to yourself or your family. You might even break down in terms of travel costs and travel expenses, utility bills, internet bills. You may want to also put something aside for food, of course. We've already mentioned travel costs, that may be your petrol, but what about things like, things that you enjoy, your family activities and things like that, that you might not necessarily think about or think to actually plan, but why not plan those things and get those in that budget? Once you go through all those different expenses that you have throughout the month and things that you want to actually put money aside for, if you're lucky, you might have some float or some money left over. That's called disposable income. So what we like to do with that disposable income is actually pay ourselves that disposable income. So what that looks like is, okay, where are we going to put that in for the future, basically? So we might actually put that aside in some investments or, a high interest savings account.
So our next tip is being honest and transparent. Sharing your financial goals and your financial situation with your partner can be of great benefit. Like example, like your debts or whatever goals you want to achieve for the month or set.
Can I just go on to that point? So
Yeah.
You mentioned debts, right? So it goes without saying that being honest and open, especially before you get into any relationship, particularly if you're going to marry the person, debt is one of those things that can make or break, right? So for me, and what me and Samoy did, in my mind, I was thinking about how can I share with Samoy in a safe way my financial situation before we got married, and therefore open up an environment where we could deal with the situation as a couple. So one of the lessons that I always like to live by is you go far as a couple or far as a group or as multiple people, but as a person on your own or a single person, you go quicker, which is fine. But I wanted to go for the long run, right? So I wanted to make sure that we was building together a solid platform in our marriage and a solid foundation in order to be successful in terms of our financial goals. So the first thing that we needed to do is just eradicate all of our debt, right? So that was something that we needed to get out on the table.
So earlier in our relationship, you shared with me various tips that I could utilize with my financial situation, and that was really helpful. It helped me to have more of a purposeful goal, have like an exact goal, looking at the numbers. And as I've said in the beginning, like, numbers in me, it's not something that I love to look at, and understanding that I need to understand my numbers has helped me drastically in eradicating certain debts and in helping me to save more, because I love to save, and to also invest more, and that was really, really helpful.
So just a quick tip. One book that I would recommend for this topic is 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Married. That may not be the exact name of the book, but I'll link it in the description, or I'll flag it somewhere in the video so that you can have access to that book. Great book for just opening conversation, with your potential loved one before you get married. Great book. So I recommend that. All right, so the next tip that we want to give is simply listening to your partner. So make sure you actively listen to your spouse or your partner. In doing so, you'll be able to hear their perspective, their concerns, their priorities, and build as a team a very, very tight and comprehensive plan or budget that suits both parties. And in that way, you're able to, come to compromises and a middle ground to suit all of those different perspectives.
And with that in mind, it's good to do that, because at the end of the day, you get to celebrate each other's successes, with financial goals or clearing debts. One of our favorite ways to celebrate our successes is just jump with each other and say, okay, let's book a massage in to celebrate this, because it's a success that both of you have achieved together, and it helps, like, it does help to celebrate each other's success and to listen to each other. So our next tip is setting goals together. Like, that drastically helps you to stay motivated. It helps to encourage each other. And when someone is nudging you and reminding you about certain debts that you want to clear, it really motivates you. Like, for example, with me and my husband, when we wanted to clear off our debt during last year, me reminding him and he reminded me about it really motivated us, and we were like, yeah, we gotta get this debt down before the new year. Like, we gotta get this sorted out. And we just try to cut certain expenses, and we were able to clear our debt.
And I think now is the perfect time to do that in 2023. We've hit a really, really interesting time, in the sense that there's a recession that we're now living in. So by clearing your debt, it means that you're not shackled to a bank who's basically coming after you for money month after month with interest rates that may be a lot more than what you're actually getting in from any assets that you may have, because these interest rates can be extremely high. So it's really key to make sure that your assets are often paying you over and beyond what you should be outlaying in terms of your liabilities, if that makes any sense. So that's really key. But what I also want to mention is that you can use different methods for paying down debt. If you find it difficult to find the motivation to actually clear your debt, then there's different methods you can use. I'll give you two. So the first one is what's called the snowball method, and that is effectively taking all your debts and lining them up one by one, with the smallest first all the way up to the largest. When you've cleared that first debt, let's say that is £10, you clear that first debt, and then you roll over that amount plus what you're paying on the second debt to that next debt, if that makes sense. So you're paying £10 on that first debt, you've cleared that now, so you pay £10 on the second debt plus what you were paying on that second debt anyways, which may have been £30. So now you're paying 10 plus 30, which is 40 on that second debt. Hopefully you get the point. As you roll over to the next one, you add that 40 onto the third debt, and it starts to compound effectively, the amount of payments that you'll be making to each debt as you go along. So that's the first method. The next method, which is one that I don't personally use too much, but I have mixed the two, is the avalanche method, which is effectively to take the debt with the most amount of interest, so the highest interest, and then order all of the other ones going from highest to smallest. So what that means is that you clear the most expensive debt first, and then you tackle the next most expensive debt. So whichever one you choose and whichever one suits you best, go ahead and do so. I'm just wanting to educate you on the different tools that you can use in order to make sure that you're clearing that debt in the most effective way and in the most motivating way possible. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much, and keep watching. We do have something at the end for you. So the final point that we want to make is being respectful. So remember, everyone's got different opinions, different values, different upbringings and experiences, and especially in relation to money. So when it comes to money and how you handle that money and how you build your budget and how you build your plan as a family unit, it's really important to remember the other person's perspective and to build around those as best as possible, so you come to those middle grounds, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's important to be respectful, as sometimes we can blame or shame on someone else's spending habits, but not everyone grew up the same way. Not everyone has financial literacy or financial understanding, or how to budget or how to manage your money. So it's important to be respectful and to be respectful of each other's upbringing. That's the point. Each other's upbringing, and that will help you to grow as a couple, as this will help you to educate each other on the various areas that each other is weak on.
All right, so as promised, what we have is something very special. So if you click on the link in the description, we have a giveaway for you, which is basically our personal planner that we use, our budget planner. And that will help you to, start that process of developing a strategy effectively for putting those pennies aside and, putting them in the right place at the right time and making sure you're setting something aside for the end of the month, but also for later on down the line. So have a look at the link below and please enjoy. Thanks for watching.